Welcome back to Kids Planning. I'm Allison, and this is Daniel.
We are the Kids Planning parents.
Yep, and in this video, we are going to ask the question, can kids play Machi Koro?
So, Machi Koro is a fantastic game. We love it. We play it a lot. It was one of the first games that we got for our family. It is a staple in our household. But this isn't a traditional review. In Can Kids Play, we want to go through all of the things that contribute to that question of whether or not a kid can handle this game. Things like language dependence, strategy complexity, how much math is in it, downtime between plays, how competitive it is, things like that, and just educate parents so that you can make a good decision on whether or not this is a good fit for your family. Because just because it's a good fit for our family, it may not be a good fit for yours. So this is not a yes or no, this is a great game. It is it's empowering you with knowledge so you can make the decision on whether or not this is going to be a good fit for your family, for your kids, for your specific situation.
Okay, obviously we have more than one box here. This is all Machi Koro. What we're going to be talking about today is just the base game. We have here is the expansion, and then this is Legacy, which we just finished and is really, really good. But we're going to be focusing on the main base game, but they all pretty much have the same mechanics and the same weight involved.
Yeah. So the way Machi Koro works, it's very simple. You take the dice, you roll the dice on your turn. If the dice matches the number on the top of your card, you do what it says down here. Very simple, very straightforward. Some cards activate on your turn, some cards activate on every turn, but it's a very how to play is pretty straightforward, pretty simple, not complex. It's very easy to pick up.
We want to go into first is theme and artwork, because that's something that comes up in some games. And in Machi Koro, the theme is so sweet. You're a mayor building your town and taking care of your townspeople. And the art is just really, really cute. There's nothing questionable in this game. You've got your fields, you've got your farms, you've got your businesses, you've got your cafes. It's really, really cute. I personally adore the artwork in this, and so does Peyton.
Yeah. The next thing we want to talk about, and something we're going to hit on in every single one of these Can Kids Play videos, is language dependence. The language dependence in this it's interesting. It's not hard. There is not a lot of language. You have to read the bottom of the card. It's very forgiving because when you take these cards, everything is face up. There's no hidden information. So if you have a kid that's younger and learning to read, you can help them as long as they can understand and comprehend what the cards do, which get 1 coin from the bank on anyone's turn anytime someone rolls a 1. Very simple instructions. There are some that are a little more complicated that are on specific turns, but if you need to help your kids read it,
it's all on the table.
It's all public information. There is no hidden information in the game.
They are color-coded a little bit. Like the ones that are on everyone's turn are blue. The ones that are just on your turn, if you're the one that rolls and it doesn't affect everyone on the table, those are green. And then there's red and purple, and those go into another thing. But they're all themed with their colors, which makes it a whole lot easier for younger kids as well.
Now, something that we really liked about these, when we got this game, Peyton was still learning to read. He was just not motivated to read, which as an aside, that's something that gaming has really helped with, because he didn't care to read. Jared would read to him if he wanted to read a book. So gaming really motivated him to read because he likes to be independent. He likes to strategize, win on his own. So we have found
the winning on his own was key.
Yeah. So we have found gaming to be a way to really motivate Peyton to read, because if there is hidden information, he wants to do it so that he doesn't have to get help and he can claim that win for his own when he wins. So with Machi Koro, it is very repetitive, very straightforward reading. So it's something you can help them along, but get 1 coin from the bank anyone's turn. The card over there that says take 1 coin from the active player, opponent's turn. So it's repetitive enough that they can see the same words over and over. And if they're in that stage where having repetitive reading is important, this is a great game for it.
Yeah.
And really, we just made a house rule that no one can read Peyton's cards to him, because he would ask what they said, even though he could read them. And it genuinely helped him advance in his reading.
Now, if he wasn't really interested in the game, we probably wouldn't have made that rule, because we don't want to deter him. Like, you can't play the game unless you read your cards. That probably wouldn't have gone over well if he really just wasn't interested. Luckily, he is very interested in gameplay, and so that was a motivator for him versus a deterrent.
Yep. So the next thing we want to talk about is math. There is some basic math in this game. You are making money. You are using that money to buy things. It's basic coins. There's 1, 5, and 10 coins.
We have the 5th anniversary edition, so the coins that we have are like little plastic metal, and they're not metal. They're little plastic coins versus the cardboard, but the cardboard coins work just as well.
So math, very basic. You have to be able to add, convert 5 pennies to a nickel, that kind of thing.
That's something Peyton really loved doing, was when he got like 5 or 6 ones, he would go and exchange it at the bank, and that was something he really was always enjoyed with that.
And to know, okay, I can try and roll this, and if I make this much, then I'll be able to buy this on my next turn. So math, yes, but very basic. As far as memory, there is no memory involved. You don't have to remember what happened a few turns ago. You don't have to think, and you do need to think a few turns ahead because of like, I want to buy this, I'll need to make this many coins to do that. But as far as memory and having to remember and manage information in your head, there is none of that in this game.
Yeah, it's not like with some games where you have to remember what kind of happened 3 rounds before. Everything is on the table. If you couldn't remember what someone got 2 turns ago, what establishment they built, you can just look on the table and see what they built. So again, having everything out on the table is very, very beneficial with playing with younger kids. The next thing we want to go into is strategy and like the complexity of strategy. We'd say this one is basic to moderate, depending on how you play and the age range you're going to play with.
There's a very basic element of strategy where if you're playing with a kid who's not quite old enough to comprehend and think a few moves ahead, they can just buy what they can afford. They're going to get money when people roll their numbers. They're going to have fun. They may not win, or they may not be able to think really down the line, but it is possible to play it if you don't have a grasp for the strategy. There is an element of strategy. If you want to kind of play the game to its fullest, you have to pay attention to what other people are doing. There's a few cards where you take money from other players under certain circumstances, but there's very little direct confrontation between players, very little direct interaction. But to win the game, the first person to build all 4 of their landmarks wins. So you do need to be able to kind of pay attention to what other people are doing. Say, okay, this person has 3 of them built. I should probably get on to building mine. Again, if you're playing with someone who's too young to really comprehend that, it's fine. They're gonna have fun. They're gonna get coins. They're gonna roll the dice. It's very forgiving in that aspect. But there is the potential to have pretty deep strategy with it.
We don't tend to play. Sorry, I interrupted you. We don't tend to play really light with the boys, and we do that for a few reasons. One is because when they win, we want to be able to all celebrate their win. And then 2, especially with games like this, where kids are like sponges, and when they see, if they're paying attention, see your strategy, they'll pick up on it. So there are strategies that you can do as their parent and just the adult playing to kind of help them see, well, if I did this, but you want to explain it, kind of do, okay, I'm playing this card. So now if I roll this, then I get to take money from you. Yeah. So you might want to think about that. You might want to add that to your town soon, that type of thing, where you can encourage them to build up that strategy.
And during the Legacy game, around game 6 or 7, Peyton figured out how to build this just money generating engine, and he would do it so that in one roll, if he rolled the right thing, he'd get 20 or 30 coins, where typically crazy. You get one or 2 coins. There's some cards that give you 4 or 5 coins, but he figured out this strategy where if he got this card that paid you based on what kind of other cards you had, if he gathered the right things, he could, if he rolled an 8,
he got a lot.
He was golden. So
I was so proud of him too.
And he figured that out on his own. Like that was something that he figured out. He worked out in his head. So again, there is potential for pretty advanced strategy. Obviously, it's not a super heavy game, but for what the game is, there's the potential to come up with some pretty advanced strategy.
Now let's talk about downtime between turns, because that we think is really important, especially playing with kids. As adults, you kind of know the strategy of the game, or people need to think through and play their game, and you're just waiting. With kids, they can get real bored if there's a lot of downtime. With this game, there's not that much downtime.
I would say it depends on how prepared you are for your turn. If you know what you're going to do during your turn, If you've counted your money and you know going into your turn, I'm going to roll, I'm going to buy this. If I get enough money to do it, the turns really go quickly. And we've found that really when our kids end their turn, especially Peyton because he's 7, we just prompt him, okay, that was great. Think about what you're going to do on your next turn while everyone else goes. And that way, when it gets back around,
he kind of has an idea. So we're not all sitting there helping him process what he's going to do. But we do have to say it, at least when we first start the first few rounds of just, hey, remember, when you think about what you're going to do next, look at what's available, look at what you have, think about what you could do next. And that prompts them. And that is something that you may need to do.
Yeah. And that's something we found we have to do with most games because typically with younger kids, they hand the dice off and then they go off into their own world and they don't think about the game until the dice hits their hand again. And then they're like, oh, let me see what to do. So we found it really, really beneficial to just prompt, okay, think about while everyone else is going, think about what you want to do next so that they don't get bored. If you're 2 hours into a game that should take 40 minutes, they're probably going to start getting bored. So that just helps everybody.
Yeah. So now we're going to talk about confrontation because especially as parents and with competitive kids, you can run into some confrontation with some games. And with this game, it has that element with some of the cards available.
Yeah. So the red cards, typically this one is a cafe. If you roll a 3, it says take 1 coin from the active player on the opponent's turn, which means if it's Allison's turn and I have a cafe and she rolls a 3, I get to take 1 coin from her. Because
essentially, if you're thinking about theme, I'm going to his town and getting coffee. And so obviously, as a consumer, I pay him for my coffee.
In the base game, most of the red cards are pretty forgiving. In the Millionaire's Row expansion, they can get a little cutthroat. This one, the private club, if the active player has at least 3 landmarks built, take all of their coins.
All of their coins.
So it's really going to depend on, you may want a house rule if you have, with these cards, when we're playing, whether these cards are acceptable or not, and whether they can handle having all of their money taken.
We rarely buy them.
But it changes from game to game. If the kids are tired, they may be a little more emotional about people taking all of their stuff. If they're really into the game and they're kind of...
They're playing cutthroat too,
if they're playing cutthroat back and forth, then they're fine with it.
So just read the room, and you may have a house rule that, you know what, we're just not going to add the red cards in this game. And that's totally fine. The game still plays just as well. You just lose that variant that can add some really fun diversity in the game.
And again, in the really cutthroat cards are in the expansion. The red cards that come with the base game are...
They're a little bit mild.
It's take 1 coin. I think there may be a take 2 or 3 coins, but there's no take everything from everyone else.
So and again, if you say think about it, like how I said, you're going to this one is Stadium. So we're going to go see, imagine you went to the football game in their town and you want to buy popcorn. So you're just paying them for the popcorn. If you want to add that to it, it makes it a little fun for younger kids.
Yeah. So the last element we want to talk about is scoring and winning and how that happens, because that's important in games to understand. Is it kind of one of those where at the end of the game you go and calculate and you don't really know who's going to win until the game is over? Is it straightforward? Is there a clear-cut winner in this game?
Straightforward.
Yeah. Straightforward, clear-cut. Whoever builds their 4th landmark first wins. They are the winner. There's no second place. There's no third place. It is very clear. Whoever builds their 4th landmark first is the winner of the game. No questions asked. Doesn't go around and get last turns. It ends. So
again, if you wanted to do house rules and if you see that you have another kid that is just there and they've worked really, really, really hard, and you want to see them have that win as well, you could be like, okay, everyone in this round, now that triggers end and there could be like a tie. I mean, you can make it what works best for your family so that everyone does enjoy the game and that there's not any of that just player's remorse.
Yeah, but it's not a game that you're going to get to the end and be like, oh, I thought I did really good. And then you calculate victory points and you're in last. It's really straightforward how the game ends and wins. Yep. So those are the basic things that we want to go through in these videos. Theme, language dependence, math, kind of strategy, complexity, all that. And then a few other things that stuck out to us about this game.
We've played it a lot.
Yeah, we've played this a lot. We bought this game last March or April in quarantine. It was one
when
of
we
the
first started Kids
It was one of
Play.
the first games we bought when we started Kids Play. I think we bought it like before lunch on a Saturday. And then after we played it a couple times after lunch, we went back to the game store and got the expansion because we loved it. So I was so it was
fit.
Yeah, it was just one of those that you're going to like it, you're going to play it a lot.
And we actually, our kitchen table opens up. You have a leaf in the center, and we didn't open that up. And so I took it as,
scrunched in trying to.
I have a picture. We'll show it here.
Yeah,
I have a picture of us, like, the table was just maxed out on footprint. So obviously, if you're going to be playing with a lot of players, it does have a bigger footprint. Yeah. But yeah, we but
it's still just
and
cards. The expansions have some other little tokens that do things, but it's just cards. It's just a lot more cards.
Yeah, and these do roll well over cards. Yeah. So you need to roll over them. It's fine.
But something interesting happened when we were playing with the expansion the first time is Jared got the loan office. And the way the loan office worked, this card taught him about loans, and I don't think he'll ever take out a loan that he doesn't absolutely need. So it's free. You don't have to pay anything to get it. And it says, when built, get 5 coins from the bank. When activated, pay 2 coins from the bank. So he saw that and thought, oh, cool.
He gets 5 coins.
Yeah, free money.
It's free.
So he got it.
And then he kept rolling.
Well, he spent those 5 coins, and then he would roll a 5 or a 6 on his turn. And he'd have to pay 2 coins to the bank. And he looked at me at one point. I was like, why do I've already spent, I don't have the money anymore. Why do I still have to pay the bank? I'm like, well, that's
a loan.
How loans work. So there are some really interesting, again, very basic. There's some taxes, some stuff like that.
Just basic money management that this opened up a door for them to learn. And that's something I really, really appreciate. I've homeschooled the boys. This is our 6th year. We're ending our 6th year of homeschool. And so game schooling is big for me. If I can let them understand a concept by playing a game, I'm all for it. Yeah. So this one has some major props with the money management, the math, strategy, just the thinking, the forward thinking, things like that. I really, really love this game, obviously.
So this is a fantastic game. It's just a great fit for our family, for our age ranges. It works really well. I would say if you have, it's probably not going to be great for a 4 or 5 year old. They need to be able
it's first grade.
Yeah, it's probably first grade and up for us. Again, it's going to depend on how many other games you play and how well your kids comprehend those concepts. Yeah. We play a lot of games, so our ages may be offset by a couple years, a year or two. But yeah, just feel it out. Games are a great way to just to introduce concepts, to sneak in learning. Again, as I said before, for Peyton, they've been a fantastic way to encourage him to read and read on his own. So we love this game.
We have a lot of inside jokes with this game. That's another thing. Just the quality time that games in general, as a family, they introduce. It's something that we're very passionate about.
Yeah. So. And if you've played Machi Koro and like it, again, the Legacy version is great. Just finished it, loved it. Everyone loved it. Everyone loved the story. Everyone loved the kind of theme of it.
So cute.
It was awesome.
So this is our Can Kids Play Machi Koro. This is our first one of the series, but hopefully by time you watch this, we might have a few others, so check those out too. We've got a lot coming.
If there's any specific games you want us to cover, definitely let us know. Yeah, we want to be a resource to parents. We have, because of how impactful and important games are to our family, we want to help other people step into that may still be playing Sorry and Skip Bow. Yeah,
so be sure you subscribe so that you'll know when we've got these videos coming out. The boys have awesome tutorials where they teach you how to play these games that we are highlighting. And then they do fun unboxings. It's just fun watching them and seeing their characters come out and their personality come out in the unboxings. And then the boys interview a bunch of people in the industry and we get to hang out with them. So those are the kid talks. But yeah, be sure you subscribe right there and watch all of our other videos over here. Until next time, we'll see you later. Have a great day. Bye.